there, guys, gals, and non-binary pals. GM Potter here. Welcome to my channel where I talk about books and bookish things, and sometimes books that are spicier than I thought they would be. Today's book, the book we're getting into today, is Grimstone by Sophie Lark. This one is 320 pages, came out in 2023, and let's get into it. So, content warning for this book. It has a hefty content warning in that it has elements of BDSM, postpartum depression, harm to an infant by a parent, filicide, patricide, self-harmies, stalking, harmies, blood, and attempted essay on page. That being said, if any of these things bother you, if any of these things are triggers for you, please don't read this book. Please even feel free to skip this video. One of the neat things about this book is it has a soundtrack that as you're reading the book, it has little musical notes that pop up and it'll guide you to which song you should be listening to get in the author's frame of mind, which I thought was really cool. I wish more books did that. When I picked up this book, I read the back, and I know that that's not always the best way to go, because sometimes the person who wrote the book, the blurb on the back has nothing to do with the book itself. And this is one of those cases. I was expecting like a fun paranormal romance, heavy on the paranormal, like a paranormal investigation style romance. There's no paranormal in this book. Like, there's not. It's a lot of gaslighting. Like, the most paranormal thing is that they describe one of the characters as looking like a vampire. He's just allergic to sunlight. They don't actually come out and say he's allergic to sunlight, but he's allergic to sunlight. There's a lot of weird things that kind of stuck out. At one point, the character has a pew-pew, and he talks about cocking the safety, and I'm like, the safety is a button on the side. This is cocking it back. This is moving the safety. They're two different parts, and not really understanding what being allergic to sunlight entails. And it's just a couple little weird things here and there that just kind of, it wasn't enough to interfere with the story, but it was enough to make me wish the author had done a little bit more research. This book is very spicy. Very, very spicy. Like, it's one of those books where it's smut. I'm just going to say it's smut. But the smut pulls the story along, kind of like a musical. Like, if you watch, like, a musical from, like, the 60s, like, you as opposed to some of the musicals from today, like, musicals today, like the bad ones, you have the action of the play, and then you stop, and you have a song, and then you stop, and then you keep going. Where in a good musical, the music pulls the action along, and it pulls it with it, that it comes from the swelling of emotion, and it pulls it along. This book is like a musical in that it uses smut instead of song. There's shifting POV, which I thought was interesting. We've got both main characters are unreliable narrators, which is fantastic. I love a good unreliable narrators, and these two were very unreliable. At about halfway through, I made a couple predictions, and I wrote down, OMFG, this is so spicy. Of my 4 predictions, 3 of them were right. I'm happy with the one I was wrong about. I'm not gonna... This book has an epilogue. Even the epilogue is smutty. Like, this book is a lot of spice, a lot of smut, a lot of things going on in this book. And all of them are NC-17. There is an amount of DubCon in the book. It's not listed among the content warnings, and I feel like it should be. DubCon, of course, standing for dubious consent. There is a difference between that and R, in that dubious consent is that consent is actually being given. It's just maybe not spoken. It's dubious, but it's still there. It's still presumed instead of ignored and not gotten. So there's that. Yeah, this book, honestly, it's 5 stars for what it is, which is a romp. It's a running romp. And it's really good for what it is. High literature? No. Chewing gum? Yes. But for chewing gum, it's really good. It's not fruit stripe. It's full-on bubblicious. It is good chewing gum for your brain. It's a good one to read, to kind of like in between like important books or really heavy books. Like it's a good one to like cleanse the palate. It's a palate cleanser smut. So, have you read Grimstone? Have you read the second book, which is Monarch, which I have ordered? I'd love to hear if you have or not. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.